Welcome to another episode of Just More Fix. This is James. With me in this episode is Lacey, Lee, Carrie, and Kurt.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
You can find us online at justmorefix.com or on Twitter at justmorefix. If you like us, head over to Apple Podcasts or Google Play and give us a rating and a comment. In this episode, we're going to have another gaming roundtable. And now, it's time to get our gaming fix.
I'm Lindsay,
I'm Austin.
And I'm Joe from PopXcast.
a podcast member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the show you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of each individual host.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready because geekiness begins in
3,
2.
1.
Welcome to Just One More Fix. I guess we do have one quick announcement is that we finished recording our actual play of 10 Candles, and it is edited. I have one quick thing to do to the outro, and should be going up to our Patreon backers pretty soon. And then once it fits into our regular release schedule, we will put it out to everybody else. So
if you want it early, go sign up for our Patreon.
hey, Lacey, where could they find our Patreon at?
If I know.
Wait a minute. No, I know this one. Ooh, me, call on me.
Ooh, Kurt,
James,
where could they find our Patreon?
on the internet.
Oh, Lee, can you be more specific?
You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/justonemorefix.
I knew that. I studied. I knew that.
Right. So you guys can head over there and
Didn't know there was going to be a test today.
Oh, man.
and support us there and get early access to our shows and our actual plays before they fit into the regular release schedule. As you heard today, we are going to have a gaming roundtable because we had some difficulties settling on a topic that we weren't prepared for. So we thought...
Nobody studied.
True story. True
As
story.
it turned out, we thought, what haven't we done in a while? Talk to each other.
True that. In gaming news around the table, has anybody done anything awesome in gaming recently?
In the last month, I ran Numenera and Fate of the Norn.
Were they both Christmas presents?
No.
Okay, so tell me what Numenera is about.
It's one of Monty Cook's games.
Okay,
And so it's a game. We've established that, but what that doesn't tell us what it's about.
It's also an RPG. Oh.
Okay, you can't see this, but the sideways look is coming off thick. All right.
It's kind of like high fantasy meets science fiction, but it's all on one planet.
It reminded me a lot of Dune.
Yeah,
Okay.
kind of.
Says the guy that's never played it.
I've read through the books.
Okay.
It's set in the future. Yes.
I am
Yes.
terribly addicted to gaming. I don't know if you know this. And as we established
noticed that.
before, I have a lot of free time at work, as it turns out. And I spend that time
Bitter look.
browsing through RPG stuff and reading about other games that people play and listening to podcasts and stuff. So that's how I heard
So
about
the
it.
future's not exactly post-apocalyptic, is it?
Yeah, kind of.
But there's like relics of past technology, and you don't have like a computer
Yep,
now.
from
There's no
any one of
spaceships
the
or stuff like that.
8 prior great empires that occupied this space before.
Okay.
It's like post-apocalyptic, I guess. Because like when you think post-apocalyptic, you're like,
Mad Max.
yeah.
sort of.
So it's like after that stage of stuff.
It's like
As
Wait a minute, that's
things start
another
to be good
civilization. After you go through like the Dark Ages and you get your Renaissance, that's actually a new civilization. It's like calling the Renaissance the post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Renaissance is now the post-apocalypse.
It actually is-
Write that down in your history books and teach that
That's
to your
way too
kids.
complicated.
It sort of reminds me of the gunslinger thing,
It's like
right?
pre-planning.
Because that's high magic, low tech, but you still have relics of the former highly technological universe that are present that you can kind of use and manipulate, but without a fair amount of accuracy.
Well, I think I feel like it's Dune is it's not exactly Dune,
But it's a little more
close to that.
optimistic.
It's close to that.
It wouldn't be hard.
I like that there are only 3 character classes, at least in the main book. You can play a fighter, a wizard, or a rogue.
So I have to say, what
They're not
I
called that,
thought
though.
was cool about it was how very, I don't know that marketing oriented is the right word for it, but what I noticed was that the character creation system is remarkably similar to that of No Thank You Evil, which means that now if you want to play games that are put out by Monty Cook, you can literally start at the age of like 4 and learn slightly more as you go until you're 30 and you can play the Numenera game and still have a vague idea of what's going on because you played No Thank You
I'm not
Evil when
saying
you
they
were
did it on
5.
purpose,
It's somewhat
but-
brilliant.
Get them when they're young.
That's right.
That's a great marketing. I introduced at school, I have a RPG group, and I introduced Fate Core for the first time to our kids, thanks to a generous grant.
Yeah, say,
grant
why did
from
you choose
Evil
to
Hat.
introduce them to?
I chose to introduce that to them thanks to a generous grant from Evil Hat Productions. They sent us
Whoa,
that.
who was that?
Sorry, that's my cheesy radio announcer. I don't usually whip it out here in the podcast because I don't want to intimidate everyone with my radio announcer voice.
I'm
That's
triggered.
that's what I thought.
We're going to call him Ted.
And so
Ted, the radio announcer who likes to
Oh,
switch
why
it
are
out
we
during the
naming it?
podcast.
that's not okay. And so what was really interesting to me was now I kind of grew up at the age of 12, 13 with first edition Dungeons and Dragons. And so I have all the associated and Traveler, which was very, very close to that in the sense that it was, it was stats and skills oriented. And there were tables and you rolled on them and you could die during character creation. And it was very old school because it was back in the day. And
Die
Are
during
you
character
all right
creation
there?
makes me crazy.
well, no, it
Go
was a
ahead,
mini
go ahead.
game.
I
You didn't
digress.
have to play
I
the-
digress.
Oh my gosh. Okay, eyes rolled. I came to Fate with the same problem that I came to what the mouse one, Mouse Guard.
Mouse Guard.
with. It killed me the first time. It literally caused an implosion. But when I gave it to the kids who had never, this is their first time like playing. Okay,
Right.
that it took a little bit for them to wrap their heads around some of the basic concepts, but once they did, it was as natural as ducks swimming in water. Now,
So would you say that they were up and playing quicker than with like a traditional D&D Pathfinder?
no, and yes at the same time. They were up and playing just as fast in the sense that when I use a crunchier system, I don't give them all the rules to begin with. Okay, when we started up with Traveler, I did not give them all of the high guard supplement,
Oh, yeah.
and this, and you're not going to die during character creation. I cut all that stuff out. And instead of randomly rolling, I had them pick, and I made some pretty significant changes. The important thing here is that we got them up and running with pretty much the full system in one day.
Right.
Okay, maybe 2. I mean, I did some prep work the session before of this is what we're going to be doing, and had them kind of introduce them to the way the dice mechanic worked and that sort of. So I suppose it was 1.5 days, but I'd say within 2 hours they were up and running.
Right.
Now, the kids that did play with their families, they were came from a D&D background. They had a little mind blown moment because they were like, "Where's the synergy tables of the chart to roll on for
Right.
the something interactions and where's
Right.
all the spell lists?" There aren't any.
How did they deal with, how like every game pretty much has like a physical stress or a hit point system, right?
Yeah.
But how was there any issue with them like kind of conceptualizing the mental or social stress track?
Well, we didn't do social stress. I don't think Core has the social stress.
No, but it's got the
on
mental.
there.
It's got mental in
mental
there.
and physical. And so we went through some of the ideas about damage about after you get that second physical stress, about laying on of conditions and, your condition is now a broken jaw and
Right.
all the things that go with a broken jaw.
Right.
Okay, and they wrapped their head around that. The important thing that I had to get at was just like with character creation, I needed to start off with the high concept. These are heroic and competent characters who, by and large, if you have to guess if they know it or not, they do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And like the one group wanted to do superheroes. And so I gave them the Venture City. And the game master for that one, he took it home overnight. He came back the next day. Now it's not a thick book if you've ever seen the Venture City supplement for Fate. He was ready to roll. I mean, they were literally okay, so your stunts do this and these are your powers and you power them using your fate points, and it was, literally they were up and running in less than 2 hours.
Right on. I think that was probably, that whole thing is going to develop into an actual episode onto itself. We kind of talked about it, but there's some things to put together. And we've been pretty Fate heavy for a while, so I thought we kind of might pick that one up a little bit later. But it's a really cool idea in seeing how gamers being introduced to different games at the beginning of their the foundation of their gaming, essentially.
Yeah.
And I think it's super cool to see how, like, if you never got exposed to D&D, where would your sort of gaming lineage go? Do you know what I'm saying?
That's just it, because the kids that I had exposed to those D&D type systems earlier, the ones that are now graduating high school, they're online playing D&D. They're
You know what would be really cool is if, like, when we play D&D games, like, your story progression for D&D games is kind of pretty like they mirror each other. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if you have a D&D game and I have a D&D group and we're totally separate from each other, as we evolve, as our games evolve playing D&D, I would say that the stories that we tell in the D&D world are probably similar. And I would wonder to see if you followed that with the kids that get introduced to Fate first, how their progression of stories they tell goes. Do you know what I'm saying?
Now, you know what it is? That it would be fascinating, except for the fact that I tend to lose them after their second year.
Yeah.
Now, and you would say, oh, I used to count that as a failure. Like, they stopped coming. Well, do you know what's happening? They're with me for about a year or 2 years. They learn what they want to learn. They get a group of friends together. They stop coming not because they've stopped playing, but because they're now binging at their friend's house for 16 hours or whatever it is. It's actually a success story, but for years it felt like a failure to me because I wouldn't have them anymore.
It also sort of makes sense because how long is your library club time?
It's usually about an hour and a half.
So,
2 hours,
like, would you rather sit down and play a game for 4 hours, or would you rather play for an hour, have to stop, go do something, go like travel somewhere else and continue your story? You know what I mean? Like,
well, no, I get that, but in a way, like it always made me, well, not always, but for the last several years, it made me feel funny until I was talking to this one young man. He's getting ready to graduate. Man, I guess he's online. He goes home Saturday. They got an online thing.
Right.
It's tabletop, but it's online because they're game masters in Texas or something like that. It's like 10, 12 hours, 14 hours. I mean, he'll tell you all about, I mean, I forget Ventrilo and some other things like Table D20 or one of these online programs that they use. And it's as natural as swimming to them because they found a GM that they liked online.
Right.
And
what's very
really
cool.
see the good that we do.
I was poking around on that D&D Beyond website, and it's actually pretty well put together.
Yeah, I mean, I'm old, so the idea of doing that online sort of thing sounds like heresy to me. But, you know, I can accept that it's
my only
it's a
qualm
thing.
with it is that I feel like there's some a piece of the, I don't know what the right word is. Like, there's all of these social cues that happen when we're sitting here in front of each other talking to each other, for like when the pauses happen, for when you
It's
talk
the
and
visceral-
we go back
yeah.
and forth.
Well,
You know,
it'll be solved once virtual reality improves.
true story, but we're not there yet. So in the meantime, it's just
It'll be like the cues. It's like, you know, when someone's uncomfortable and to back it up.
Yeah.
Because you can see it off their
Well, the other thing,
cues.
something else I saw that people were talking about that complain when they have tabletop gaming. If we're at a game right now, right, and Carrie's disconnected and she's like on her phone and doing something, whatever, it's easy to tell. But like when you're online and over Skype, I read stories about people because I was looking at doing some online gaming myself, and they're like, well, they just open up a second window and they're like on Google searching for whatever like just doing whatever, and you just see their face looking at the computer screen. So until you say something to them, they're like, oh, what? Wait, what? What happened? What's going on? You know?
Well, they seem to have navigated that well because literally he's been playing this for probably 2 or 3 years like this.
Right.
And so I got to follow my own advice. I tell them if everybody's having fun,
Yeah, oh yeah.
you're probably doing it right. These kids these days,
Right.
you know, and I think that's what that is. A lot of that is kids these days, and I get that.
I hardly think that that's just you. I mean, even Socrates hated the idea of books.
Well, yeah, you're not going to have to memorize anything anymore. If everything's all written down,
The
what
more
are you gonna
elaborate
have
our
to
means
know?
of communication, the less we communicate.
Well, I think again, it's an old man problem, and I get that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I wonder, it would be interesting to see if you could take the players that had only experienced tabletop gaming like online in that sense and get them in a room together and play a game where we're all in the same room and see like if their foundation is in an online world in terms of gaming, what they think and how they see things differently, like when you're actually at the table with someone. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it would be interesting.
It'd be cool to see.
Because the other group it started off just to introduce them to it, which has turned into a regular thing. I call them older people, but you know they're all, I don't know, they're, you know, anyone in their 30s young. So
I'm pretty sure Kalen would have some experience for that because he ran a game while he was living in Westville, and now he lives in Bloomington with those people.
Is he still running the game with the same people?
I'm going to make assumptions, and you know what they say about that.
He is still GMing, but I don't recall if it's with the same group of people or not.
Because I thought he said it was people that were actually in Bloomington that he was
Because
gaming
he
with.
was
But could be wrong.
kind of giving me the skinny on a game he was running, and I told him it was amazingly similar to some Doctor Who episode that I'd seen. And he was like, "Oh, well, I've never watched Doctor Who," and then I was like, "That's it, I disown you."
we can't know each other anymore, right? So anyway, it's introducing people to games. That seems to be the thing that I do currently. So
Right on.
I mean, just in general, I'm not saying I'm like an expert at it, but it seems to work.
Something about Fate of the Norns earlier. Is that a Fate core game, or is that just a game that happens to have the word Fate in the title?
It's a game that just happens to have fate in the title.
Perfect. What is Fate of the Norns?
It's a diceless role-playing game.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, see, now that just that's like a powdered wine.
You've hit
Don't
all of
get
his
so
old man
upset.
feelers.
He says diceless, but you use runes in place of dice, so you still have that.
There's still
tactical-
some kind of a randomizer.
That's okay.
tactical,
Then.
yeah.
That's right? You told me. Okay, I feel
Instead of
better.
the Elder Futhark +1 that's blank.
Okay, I'm calming down now. I'm okay.
So what's the skinny on this game?
You start at like level somewhere between 8 and 12. It says you should start at that level.
So if you start at that level, why is there a level 1 through 7?
Yeah. What happened?
Just wondering
Those are
that,
for
but I
people
wasn't
that
gonna go
suck. Like NPCs of no importance.
Oh, like henchmen or whatever.
Because I'm
Okay,
like,
I got you.
I was gonna put my hand up.
So
I'm like,
if everybody
isn't-
starts at 8, isn't that just starting at
Okay,
1?
no,
You
this is important because the GM or the storyteller or whatever you want to call it in this game has to create every single NPC
I'm pretty sure it
from
says
scratch.
Norn in the book. I'm
Okay,
the
so the
Norn.
Norn
What?
in the book has to create all the NPCs.
Oh wait, there's no
So there's a
short
lot.
form NPCs.
I like how you're the one who's flabbergasted by this. The man who makes 30 NPCs for indie gaming runs is like, the hell you say?
So, like, do you have runes for each NPC?
Yes.
Theoretically.
Ouch.
Do they have, like, things that are, like, laid out, like, this is a...
They have boards just like the character creation. You pick your active powers by placing a rune on them, and then you get, for each rune, you get 1 active power, 1 passive power, and 1 skill. And
And this is what you
rune
get at
tied
level
to
8?
each one.
It sounds really complicated, but you can see
You
the-
spend
the
levels
runes
on
in
2
front of you.
things.
Yeah, I
One
saw
is called
the
Essence,
chart
and the
thing,
other
and it
is
looked-
called Destiny. Destiny is the number of runes that you pull every time the Norn tells you to pull runes. And the
Is
other one
Norn
is
the
how
word for Game Master, basically?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
and Essence is the number of runes you have tied to powers. It's also kind of like your hit points
So,
because
Another
as you
question, weird
take
question.
damage, you
What
lose
does...
some.
Okay, so if Norn is the Game Master, what actually is Norn in terms of...
They're the Viking versions of the Fates.
Okay, cool. I was like,
Like
I know this
the-
is like a double
Like
meaning
the ones
thing, you know
that
what I
cut
mean?
the string? Those
Yes.
kind of fates?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
These have
really
an extra function. The Norn bathe the World Tree Yggdrasil in the waters from the Fountain of Youth.
I will say they're cooler than the squirrel
So
on
is
the tree.
Odin in the game?
Ratatosk.
Radtask
Yeah, well,
is a
not
component.
unless I choose to put him in there, but he's mentioned in the book several times.
Like a component of the game?
You can play a character that's in line with him.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I think meant like there's like a squirrel. Like he's a component, like a piece. You know what I mean?
no, that would be awesome. I want to
rolled
see I want to
squirrel.
see a horned squirrel.
Like this is the jackalope.
A well-horned squirrel.
So you
It's
played?
really cool. Yes, I played. It's really cool.
I haven't
because the-
run any combat for her yet.
Solo game? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, just her.
Yeah. Okay. Carry on.
It's
Huh,
really
carry
cool.
on. Sorry.
It's my turn to interrupt Gary next. Hold on, watch this.
I keep sitting here staring at her. And she keeps getting more and more frustrated. Go ahead, Gary. Go for it.
The runes, they're really cool when you actually can tactically feel them. And you know that's how they decided their fate, and that's how you're going to decide your character's fate.
So
when I was
do you draw
playing-
them out of a bag?
Well, I had mine on my table face down in front of me.
But you pick them like so you
I-
don't know what they are.
I would pick them up randomly, and I always knew that I had a blank one that was in line with kind of what my character was in line with.
So every
There's-
character has a blank one?
Everyone has physical, mental, and something sort of like social.
Okay.
And whatever
Spiritual.
Sorry. So whatever your character is more in line with, you get a blank one of that color. So you know that you always have one sort of success in
Okay,
that color.
okay.
So my character personally only had one mental, but you could trade in like 2 of any random color.
So when you say like in that color, you can't see the room, but you can tell what color it is?
No, I can't tell what color at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Each rune aligns with a special ability. Each color aligns with a special type of circumstance. So whether it's physical and red, or spiritual and green, or mental and blue, which those colors kind of make sense. I don't know if it's because I've been gaming a lot in my life or because they just made sense to me. But each symbol also had a power.
I know I saw like I don't know what they call it, but like the playmat for lack of a better word, right?
Oh, yeah.
So was it easier to sort of conceptualize how everything worked once you had the playmat sitting in front of you?
I didn't use the playmat. I did when I made my character. I found it too convoluted because the first setting that Lee ran for me was a very social setting. We were at a party. We were trying to determine like social status, what was going on. There was some sort of combat because there was some knife throwing, but for the most part, it was a very like social.
Like
game.
at Target's like show life night
I
like
had to shoot the braids off a slave girl.
Okay.
with an eye. with
Right.
axe.
But no, it's like not in the combat sense, more in like a showmanship,
Yeah.
accuracy kind of a sense.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
So we didn't use the map for that game, but just being able to tactically grab the runes and see them and know that my fate was being decided by runes, which was how their like holy men decided runes. It was very fun. It was very cool.
You need the book, obviously, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there's 2 books, but you only need the first book to run the game. Is
Yep.
that right? Okay.
And there's a game in the back of that book.
Like a
Pre-made
story?
adventure.
Yes.
Okay. I guess what my next question is, the play mats, I assume that you can print those off or photocopy those out of the book, right?
Yep.
Okay. When it comes to the runes, if we were to play a game now, right, and you were to run a game for the 4 of us, how many sets of runes would we need?
Well, initially I thought maybe everybody should have their own set, which is kind of probably kind of pricey, all things considered, since the runes are several times more expensive than dice. Most likely.
I like have a million sets of polyhedronals and special dice. It just gives me an excuse to buy another randomizing. I don't see that as a drawback.
Well,
You can get them in
I
metal.
kind of walked you into this question because
Minor
you had
bone.
talked about it before, and they're off of Thingiverse. There are files to print them on a 3D printer.
What? That sounds like heresy.
And well, I was going to get wood filament. They make a wood grain filament that looks like wood. It's really trippy and weird.
Double heresy.
It's like it breaks your brain, okay? There's a glitch in the matrix and you can print with wood. I don't know. I don't pretend to understand it, but it's possible. But if you had a 3D printer, you could print a set of these runes for basically a quarter.
There's also an app. It's only $3.
But I think
now
there's
an app.
no.
That just is okay.
well-
I'm going to draw the line right there.
But it is way cooler
you
to
just
have the
stepped over
actual
it.
thing.
I will say I don't mind a dice roller in some circumstances as an app, but if
Like
part
if
of the
you're poor.
game is the tactileness of the runes, I think there's a certain amount of
Yes.
And I think they added
built into that.
I really
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because I could just as easily do for 10 candles, you could put 10 tea lights, battery tea lights around the room, but it just wouldn't be as fun.
Just turn him off.
That's
Click.
That's not cool now at all. That went from being cool to kind of lame. And like,
Well, since we shifted topics, 10 candles. Can we talk about that? Huh?
There should
Nice
be
transition.
a review coming for 10 candles because we mentioned the actual play at the beginning of the episode, but I had seen 10 candles some time ago and thought the idea of it looked really cool. And it reminded me a lot of how when I first saw what Dread was, I was like, this is like some next level awesomeness because it's just so different and there's a lot of things that it does at a meta level.
spoiler alert, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Better than Dread.
It's actually not a spoiler.
You think so?
alert. That's the very
Yes.
first thing
I
you
liked it
find
better
out
than
at the
Dread.
beginning.
Yeah.
One of the challenges for me with that game was I wanted to make sure,
Me cried.
well, there's that, but no, like
It's like the ongoing
the
goal
pacing of
table.
how I spoke, the tone of my voice. When I've done Dread, I guess I haven't ran Dread as a horror game, but like,
James said
Oddly
that
enough.
he was like, I was trying to just be like a little bit more quiet and stuff, and I was like, oh, I just thought you were tired.
well, I changed the pacing of the way I speak, and I changed like the pitch that I talk at. I try to make a very conscious
He said
effort.
things like this, and we all felt like we had to listen.
Yeah. Like I made a point to speak
Whoa.
quieter so that like if you whisper, people just naturally lean forward and they kind of try and, pay more attention. So there's so many pieces to that game at like a physical level outside of the game universe that create a certain atmosphere that I thought if I do those things with my voice, I think it will reinforce it even more.
Yeah, it's a definite thing. I don't have a good explanation for that. That it's a mood, it's a setting, it's an expected outcome. Okay, you're not. It's like Bluebeard's Bride. You probably have to have a certain expectation. Well, we talk about like setting expectations, right? The expectation is disaster. Okay, and so this isn't the
No, I think the expectation was hope. I think it was hope, and that's the only thing that made the game make me want to cry at the end because every little step was another bit of hope.
No, it wasn't.
Yes,
Everything
it
was
was.
doomed.
It was closer
Doom.
to hope.
No, it
and
wasn't. No, because I knew
even
it was
though
hopeless.
I knew I wasn't going to make it, I knew that I might.
No, it was doom. It was doom. It was definitely.
Wasn't
doom.
your virtue hope though?
Right on.
Somebody else wrote it for me.
I think your virtue might have been hope.
Well,
So maybe that's why you're feeling that.
I know it was we run a lot of horror games, but it was very different than the horror games that we play. And we play a fair amount of horror games.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't an apocalyptic like Burnout, like riding a shark on top of a rocket into a volcano. Okay,
Right.
that's one way to end it. This is
Well,
the
like in your
slow
standard high fantasy adventure games, the end that you're expecting is a heroic victory.
or even
And
in
so
the-
you're playing towards that end.
or even in the cultists versus investigators game, had the cultist won, I'm sure the sort of massive apocalyptic, like, destruction Ragnarok day sort of thing from the Cthulhuoid things from Beyond the Outer Gates is not going to be a slow burn down. It's going to be, a Holocaust of humanity sort of end. This was a slow, and the world just stopped breathing.
But
there
maybe
wasn't an
only-
explosion.
No, but it was so individual,
was
though.
a
Like,
whimper.
you knew
It's
that you were going to
personal.
die, and you were going to die alone, shuddering in the dark. But you
it
got
didn't end
some
with
narrative story control about how you met the end.
To steal a phrase, it didn't go out with a bang, but a whimper.
But maybe it was only happening to us. and the rest of the
Well,
world
and that
was
may
not.
be
I
my
know.
storytelling voice, because when I think of horror tragedy, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Mist. And that, I mean, granted,
In which case, Carrie would be
it
right.
goes
and the
out
rest
with a
of the world is
bang
fine.
because he shoots the kid, but it's more of it's a whimper inside of him.
Yeah.
Mist came out in like 2005. If you haven't seen it, first off, shame on you. Go watch this movie. We'll talk
I
more
feel like,
about.
I know
Yeah.
part of the tragedy in that one is that he's still alive at the end.
Oh yeah,
Like if he died, then I wouldn't feel nearly as bad about it. But he has to live with that
The fact that he
baggage.
shot
Like
his-
that's
yeah.
worse than being dead.
absolutely. Then like that, I felt like that was the even more
sorry, but it
hopelessness of
is.
it. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen The Mist, not the TV show, the actual movie, go watch it. And prepare to never watch it again, because it's so great that it's like
It's a one-shot cinema experience.
well it's powerful in a way that you don't want to watch it again. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
I
you don't
get
want to
that.
experience it again.
I get that.
So all right, we'll talk more about 10 Candles because we're going to review it tonight as well. So that'll be coming up, and you can also check out our actual play. Yeah. So is there anything else?
'Tis the season for tax returns.
Oh, God.
So
I want to know what you guys are going to buy with yours, if you get one. And if you don't get one, what are you going to pretend to buy with yours?
okay. This sounds like something you thought about. What are you going to buy?
Gen Con tickets is my number one purchase.
Right on.
Number one gift idea this year. Gen
For
Con
myself.
tickets.
Gifts for myself.
That's right.
Christmas is about others.
Well, you know what you want,
Tax season
right?
is all about me.
Taxes are for me.
Right on.
I'm going to help use my money to service my debt.
Well, I mean,
Aw,
I'm gonna
yeah.
use some of
Is there
it for
anything
that.
specific at Gen Con that you want to do, like in terms of events or whatever, or games you're looking for?
All of them.
Well,
ICANN has all the role play.
I would like to play more RPGs this year.
Like, is there anything specific? Like specific games?
Yeah, it's too early.
I soft pitched you Clockwork.
Dominion.
Yeah, I was gonna say Revolution, but I knew that wasn't it.
I'm gonna run that beforehand.
I didn't know if you wanted to play it at Gen Con
No.
because there were several games that they had there. I talked to the people at the booth,
I
took a
did
picture, and sent it to you and shamed you with it.
And I played at the booth
Oh, did you really?
the year that I bought it. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
No, I get it. I bought it because it was so cool.
It is cool. I don't disagree with you.
I'll run it
I know.
this year before Gen Con.
Oh.
in the summer that I'm not
Even before
working.
Gen Con. Okay.
Oh, she just cut her deadline in half.
That sounds like a challenge. Now, wait a minute. Does it count if we play at the hotel before the floor actually opens?
If it counts on December 31st,
Okay, all right.
counts before the floor
Okay, I'll
opens.
accept that. Okay, as long as
It
it's
is
before
technically
the floor
before-
opens.
Right.
Okay, that's
We have to get a hotel room Wednesday night. This is a lot of. I feel like we're pre-planning here. I don't know.
No, we're not pre-planning. We're planning. We were pre-planning before when we were drinking coffee.
I'm gonna buy some cosplay stuff too.
I'm still pre-planning because I
We're
still
still
have
doing
coffee.
Fifth Element, right?
What?
Because I'm way excited about it. I'm even
No,
like
I
letting my
didn't
hair
hear
get
you.
long. Fifth Element.
Yeah, but what am I going to do?
Priest, hello, come on. You would look great with one of those little things.
Oh, what are the little
Like
things?
a little yarmulke. I don't know what they call them when you're not Jewish, but you're in the religion that's on the Fifth Element. But the little thing,
Googling now.
tiny hat. Okay, I really like the game Betrayal at the House on the Hill, but the Baldur's Gate version, I feel like I really want to be a part of that. Every time I see that game, I'm like, this looks so cool. And I love that game. And I've heard that this version of it is even better, plus Baldur's Gate. And yeah.
Okay.
So, and I really like Lee and Carrie's Above and Below. And the game manufacturer also makes a game called Near and Far.
Yeah, I left it on the table so we could play it tonight, but Lee left it at home.
Sorry.
So I think that might be worth a go. It's pretty cool. It's like a resource management town game that combines a choose your own adventure storytelling mechanic. It's way awesome.
I don't know if it'll be there, but I just saw that Ice Cool 2 is on Kickstarter, and I would like to get that because Ice Cool is a lot of fun. It's a penguin flicking game where you got to flick the penguins through the hallway doors and stuff.
So this one can be a standalone game or an expansion.
And it looks like
the original
to
game.
be a lot of fun. That's a fun game. But I guess I already talked to Kurt about it earlier, and if I can find it, I would like to get the Aquilara, if I'm saying that right, game.
Oh, the Spanish one.
The Spanish
yeah.
RPG about the Dark Ages.
Or Aquilara. I don't know.
yeah, I don't know.
I don't sprechen Sie the Espanol, so.
But
Sprechen ist Deutsch.
it looks really good and a lot of fun. The English version hasn't been translated yet, so hopefully it'll be done by
Wait,
Gen Con. That'd be
does
really
the
cool.
English version have to be translated into English?
It hasn't been translated into English. It's a Spanish game. Like Spanish, like from Spain, not from a Spanish-speaking country, the other Spanish-speaking countries.
From the Iberian Peninsula.
Yes, correct. So, but it's about the Reconquista time period and Inquisition and stuff.
It needs to be
Looks
Englished.
really creepy, dark, good.
Yeah. The illustrations in the book look like are done in the style of both an illuminated manuscripts and like colored woodcuts. Pretty awesome.
It's one of those games where, like with Genesis, I saw the artwork and was like, "This game looks amazing. I think I should buy it for the artwork." I saw it and was like, "It's that level of cool." So,
I'm really lame and haven't really ran any of my purchases from Gen Con yet.
That was last year.
what did you get at Gen Con last year that you haven't ran? Huh?
Odin. Oh, I guess I ran the new My Little Pony game, but I have not ran Odin yet.
You're
what's
you're
Odin?
wrong on 2 counts
On Dreams and Magic.
because you also started
yeah.
running the Maze of the Blue Medusa.
Oh my gosh!
Which you
I've
bought
been
at
so
Gen Con.
productive this year. Oh yes.
And I'm still sad that we have not finished that yet.
I didn't get to play the My Little Pony one. I'm very sad.
I also
You were here for it.
want to get Maze of Blue Medusa for myself at Gen Con this year if it's there.
It's
I'll have my own
really cool.
copy. I know.
It is
If
so
I
good
say
to
it goes, we
read.
can
I
have
want to have my own
giant
copy,
mirror,
though.
and you can walk around going, "Aziz, light!" It'll be great. He's gonna be the priest with the beard at the beginning in the temple.
Oh,
yeah,
and I could be the
Isaiah
other
can be
priest.
Aziz.
He just needs a big mirror.
It's gonna be great.
Oh, it's a big reflective, just a piece of cardboard with like aluminum foil on it. That'd be
about this.
perfect.
Sorry, I got way too excited about that.
Oh,
So, is there anything that you're looking forward to getting or trying to find or track down, Kurt?
no. I mean, I just so much of my like I said, I suffered from gamer burnout several years ago, and I'm just only now recovering. I
Right.
feel like someone who hasn't been able to walk for years,
What's
like
gamer
gaming wise.
burnout?
It. So anyway, ignore
He
it.
realized he played Fate once and realized he'd been doing it wrong all along.
No, and so
It
so much of
nullified all
my
of his
so
previous
much of my
gaming.
effort has gone back into sort of reinventing what I do, and how I introduce it to the kids.
I totally get it because that's what I kind of went through when I started to transition away from more of the traditional RPGs and into things like Mouse Guard and Fate and all that came along behind it.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to kind of conceptualize that stuff. So I that's why I was like, no, this is like when I kept trying to push Fate or whatever. I was like, this is really where you should start to look and try and go because this is the answer to the problem.
So for those of you that have suffered gamer burnout, what did you do in order to counteract that gamer burnout?
Well, I did a lot of crying in the corner. I don't know if that did any good, but it certainly was a symptom. I sat there looking at my dice going, why won't you speak to me anymore?
Why have you forsaken me,
Why have you
dice?
forsaken me? No, what it was that I ended up accidentally stumbling on was with people who are experienced, GM less and play more.
So bathing in dice is not a good idea.
I didn't say that. I just want to be clear that I did not say that.
Don't bathe in D4s because if you step on the bottom
No,
of the
not
tub,
D4s or
or the
those.
D4, that could be painful.
Yeah, those are like parent caltrops. Don't watch out for those. With people who are experienced, GM less, play more, and just try and bring more people into it. I find that the more new people I try and bring into this, the better that it feels.
I think, go ahead.
And the easier it is because you get to kind of bootstrap everybody from the beginning, and then I don't want to say send them off, but get them started and then send them into the world. And so now every year, I don't know how many new gamers I probably send out, half a dozen. Which doesn't sound like a lot. Get some new people, introduce it to them, send them out into the world. And if any of them stick with it, great, that sort of thing. But at least they've had a chance to see
Straight
it.
to the heart of the matter.
My solution was to find new games because the games that I was playing, I was just burnt out and tired of essentially.
And James has a really hard time finding new people. So
This is true.
new games was
bothering this
I
game.
am an acquired taste. I agree.
It's a little salty. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a hard time relating
Spicy
to,
and salty.
to normal people.
humans.
It's basically too much time in EMS has made me
Hard boiled.
Want to live out in the middle of the woods, up a quarter mile of some of the worst driveway ever.
this is true. Yeah. So it makes
Only
me
accessible during certain times of the year.
I'm very social in the right doses,
I
but
think James might be a changeling.
living up the road from the abandoned chemical
I don't
weapons
get
factory.
it.
I'm just saying.
but I have a hard time with dealing with people for prolonged amounts of time, essentially, because I don't know my job.
Chances are he hates 50% of the table.
Well, I feel
As we all look around, which two?
no, but like,
I know one.
well, no, like,
No, I was gonna say myself.
I really don't. I don't hang around people I
Her
don't like.
characters you've tried to kill over the years.
Makes her cry every time.
I'm gonna make her cry again.
I was wondering why dynamite always seems to appear under my car. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I just check now.
Is it us? Is it
I
us?
thought it was an accident, you know.
Basically, I'm just not good at dealing with regular people anymore. So,
Humans.
you know, it's the job. It does that to you, I guess. I don't know. What are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
Well, you
I
get
get
used to
it.
intubating people, and after a while, it
You
becomes
get worn down.
reflexive.
And you're like, I don't want to deal with people anymore. So anyway, on a positive note, let's talk about how James doesn't like people.
Humans.
Humans, true story. I'm dead inside. For those of you that don't know, that's the ongoing joke, I
I can
suppose.
hear it in your voice.
It's true, but
Yeah,
only
but it's like
when
a
I
car
run.
when you shut it off. You know, it just
10
keeps
candles.
candling on. It's
Can
the
you
same
truly
thing.
tell how dead inside I actually am?
Whatever.
And does anybody else have anything cool they've done in gaming?
I
recently?
have something.
Go for it.
Yes, Lacey.
Yeah. I ran an Orpheus game.
What?
This is true.
I remember.
So Lacey has completed one of my dreams and
Hold on
started
a
an
second.
Orpheus game.
I
It was
just wanna
marrying
let
him.
You left.
No, it was Orpheus. It wasn't marrying me. It was
The
Orpheus.
sense of betrayal is palpable.
Why would you
we're-
ever leave us?
We're having an Orpheus game that takes place before the books, essentially. Like a
And you weren't here because you left.
Before the fall. But
Don't.
on the bright side, I was going to run it today because I saw the sad Twitter post that William O'Connor passed away, and he did the cover art for the Orpheus books.
So
Oh,
you
dear.
could probably play today.
So we were going to play the Orpheus this evening. If everybody was cool with that.
right on.
Represent.
Let's go do that now.
I think
And we're
that'll
done.
probably do it for us. So,
Thank you.
as you guys know, you can find us online at justonemorefix.com. You can support us at patreon.com/justonemorefix to get early access to our actual plays and pre-shows and post-shows and raw feeds and all that good stuff.
They're okay.
The best way that you can
They're
support us,
great.
though, is by
great.
going to wherever it is that you find our podcast and giving us a rating and a review. And I think that'll do it for us. So I guess we will see you guys next week. Quick Gonna Geek promo. Pop Culture Cosmos Multiverse 48. We're counting down the Marvel movies with our thoughts on each one as we lead into Black Panther. We bring you the latest news and trends in pop culture right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos show. And the PCC Multiverse, which you can listen to today here on the Gonna Geek Network. Check them out. That's Pop Culture Cosmos, episode number 48. Thanks for listening. This has been an episode of Just One More Fix. Music has been provided by Kevin MacLeod. You can find him at incompetech.com. You can support us at patreon.com/justonemorefix or follow us on Twitter at JustOneMoreFix.